Hundreds of organisers have had to pull the pin on events across the country as the government introduces new measures on public gatherings. The Northern Territory's Cattlemen's Association conference is one of the many events that has had to be cancelled, causing economic effects. Now, joining me live from our Darwin studio is their CEO, Ashley Manicaros. And Ashley, good evening to you. Now, the Northern Territory's Cattlemen's Association 2020 conference, which was to be held in Alice Springs on March 26th and 27th, has been postponed until next year. How does this affect the region?
Well, what it is basically it's the key opportunity annually for producers to get together. Many come in from interstate as well, to get together, share knowledge, and actually it's as much as a giant social event because generally because of the remoteness of where many of these people live, that it's a good opportunity to get together and have a bit of a debrief and a wellness session, if you like, because they've all been experiencing the issue of extreme climatic conditions with drought, and so it's a good opportunity for them to talk through exactly what they're putting in place. As recently as today, we've actually also cancelled our annual general meeting, which was also supposed to be held in Alice Springs next week, and also a ladies' lunch, which we were going to press ahead with as part of the conference. So at the moment, that places us in substantial financial difficulty. As it was, we had to make that decision last Friday, make that call for two reasons. We'd received a number of cancellations because of travel bans that corporations had put onto their staff. And then on that Friday lunchtime, the advice out of the Chief Medical Officer for Australia was that gatherings of 500 or more shouldn't go ahead. And as we know today, 100 people in a room is also being frowned upon.
And in terms of the impacts it's having on our cattle industry, talk me through this.
Well, you know, there is a major issue brewing here in the Northern Territory specifically with the major supermarkets, Woolworths and Coles, identifying to our members that they won't be processing bush orders or the click and collect. I've been receiving since Sunday night emails from my members telling me that they had orders in which have been cancelled and that they've been cancelled until further notice. Now, there is a couple of stations on the Queensland-Northern Territory border that have still been able to get their top-up groceries through the major supermarkets out of Mount Isa, but for the rest of them, basically up through the spine on the Stuart Highway, so from the South Australian border all the way up to the Katherine region, they haven't been able to get their orders fulfilled. Now, this is a real problem for our pastoralists because whilst they may have access to meat as such, and people can think that that's okay, there are other necessities that they need, particularly for those stations that have young children. Things like baby formula, nappies, baby food, these are the necessities that they can't get access to. And Sam, the reason being is that there's been so much of this panic buying, which I was delighted when the Prime Minister described as un-Australian today and hoarding, is because the local regional supermarkets have basically been bought out of these necessities. They're the areas that service the stations. They can't fulfil the stock requirements because they don't have any stock. So we've now got a major problem brewing here in the north unless something is done. Now, the National Farmers Federation have stepped in on our behalf. We've approached them. They've raised the issue with the major supermarkets who, at the national level, don't seem to be aware of the issue. And I have, in recent times, raised it with the Chief Minister of the Northern Territory, who have given an undertaking to raise it in through the appropriate channels into the federal government.
And Ashley, on that note, supermarket giants are now limiting delivering groceries to rural families. That's right, and unless we address this issue, we will see this problem unfold over the next 7 to 8 days. Many of the stations in the Northern Territory have put in their own isolation policies and are stopping the movement onto the stations by third parties other than their station hands. They've also banned any other movement off the stations. So we're in unknown waters here in the Northern Territory, and we need the major supermarket chains to be backing us because they're wanting us to produce the food to fill their shelves. So we need them to support us at this time as well. CEO of the Northern Territory Cattlemen's Association, Ashley Manicaros, thanks so much for your time and joining us here on Sky News on Win across Australia. Now, stick with us. Thank you very much.